Good morning, and welcome to Time Management, a portion of our Money Smart series. And we're going to talk about different types of ways of managing money. Managing time. Well, time is money, isn't it? And we're going to talk about using time management as a tool to enhance our productivity. So welcome to the class. Glad to have you here. My name is Brenda Bryant. I am an instructor here at UNR Extension, and my information is on the screen, so you can always reach me at my phone or by email. So let's get started. So you should have your participant guide. If you do not have your participant guide, then you can go to the Urban Chamber and from the link here, or you can use the QR code and get your participant guide. Once you go there, all 13 sessions of Money Smart are there all the guides are there. All you need to do is pick up the one that you want to use, or you can pick up all 13, have them available as you come back for each class. So, I'm going to talk a lot about what's in the guide because it helps you as we go through the process to understand what you need to be doing for your business, as well as what we're talking about, how it works in other businesses. So what we want to look at is when you finish this program, that you will understand time management and why it's so important to small businesses. Understand that we don't get any extra time. I've heard my students, and my students are not the only ones who said that. I've said it myself, is, oh my gosh, I wish I had more time. Well, I don't get any more time. I get the same amount of time everybody else does, which is 24 hours. So how am I using my time? How are you using your time so that it is making a difference, so that you are getting the best use out of your time? Because literally time is money. If I'm using my time efficiently, I'm bringing in more sales. I'm bringing in more revenue. I'm spending my time doing things that grow my business and also help me balance that against what is going on in my business. So we're going to be looking at explaining some commonly employed time management practices. So you may have heard of some of these and you may not have, but we'll go over them so that you understand what they are. And please understand that there's a lot of ways, a lot of techniques that you can use to actually go in and decide how you want to manage your time. What you want to look at is what's effective for you. Maybe you can use a piece of one person's way of managing time and add it to a piece of another person's way of managing time, or you can modify it for yourself. But I want to give you some background on what these various models do and how they work, so that you then can decide for yourself what works best for you. So, what do you know and what do you want to learn about time management? We're looking at time management. What is it especially? We hear this all the time about we need to be managing our time well. What does that actually mean? So it's looking at what are the things that we have to do, which ones come first, how much time does it take for us to do those things that we have to do, and when we are finished with those, what's the next thing on the agenda? So when we're looking at what we're managing, we're looking at what are the goals that we're going after. When we're looking at goals, we're asking ourselves, what are the results that we want to have once those goals are met? So time management is a way that systematically allows us to go through the process to get from idea through a goal to a result. The importance of time management for small businesses is enormous. As a small business, you've got so many things that you need to do, and it is rare that you have so many people that you could delegate this to. 9 times out of 10, especially if you're a starting business, you are the person who does all the stuff. Now, the stuff that you have to do in order to run your business well is the same stuff that big businesses have to do to run their businesses well. But the advantage that a big business has is that they have employees. They can delegate some of these tasks to the employees. And while the employees are doing those tasks, the owner can be doing something else. For a small business, you are the employee. You are the one who is doing the task. So what you have to do is, instead of delegating it to others, you've got to delegate your time in such a way that you can actually meet the needs of what is going on in your business. So poor time management can cost you money. We've already talked about time is money. Literally, time is money. You want to maximize the number of hours in your workday. We don't get extra hours in our workday. What we get is efficient use of the hours that we have in our workday. And we want to work harder and we want to work smarter. That was a faux pas. We want to work smarter, not harder, as we get through what we're doing in the day. So the benefits of time management for a small business is that more business equals more focus, more organized, less stress, more time for family and friends. Oh yeah, family and friends, remember them? We went into business so we could balance our lives more. We went into business because we have something that we want to offer our community, but we also went into business so that we can have our time with our family and time with our friends, time to relax, time to rejuvenate. But we have to build all of that into our management of our daily time. So, what kind of benefit do you think that you could get from using a time management program, or just having a better handle on time management? So, a written guide of prioritized tasks to complete on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that will achieve your written goals. That sounds very nice, and for many of us, that is extremely hard. So there is a program that was put together years ago when I lived in Hawaii. It was called the Franklin System, and it later became the Franklin Covey System. And it's basically about being able to write down what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, what is a priority, etc. I probably have spent a whole lot of money on their system, and I found that although it worked excellently for a lot of my colleagues, it did not work well for me. I'm telling you that because in your situation, you may see there's going to be a lot of information that's going to be given to you on time management. And this may be excellent for you, and other people may look at this and go, this does not make sense to me. what we want to look at is how do we use the information that's being put in front of us and then modify that so that it actually does fit into what we're doing. So I want you to go to page 8 in your participant manual, and it talks about my time management plan. And it talks about the goal is to generate a minimum of $6,000 in sales every month, starting the month after next. So what are the steps that you're going to be doing? Because again, you're looking at this going, I've got something that I need to do. I've got to figure out what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how do I know that I'm on track? So it says create a list of potential clients, make 12 sales per month worth $500 each, confirm proper inventory levels, continuously develop sales skills. So let's say that you have a business and you know you want to make X amount of dollars. And you've decided, let's say you've decided that you want to make in revenue $10,000 a month. So if you want to make $10,000 a month in revenue and you have approximately 22 business days in a month, how much do you have to do on a daily basis so that you reach your $10,000? Do you have the product or service available that you can go out and talk to people about so that people will say yes to you so that you can bring in that amount of money? Do you have the skills to go out and do this on your own? Do you have to hire somebody to do a part of this with you? So when you look at time management, what you're looking at is how do I do the things in my business that allow me to get the rewards that I want? The rewards I want are the revenue. So how do I get those rewards? And how do I get them in a manner that makes sense to me? Because I can't wait until week 17 and I said I wanted $10,000 coming in revenue and I've only got 3,000. So I got $7,000 that I have to bring in at the end of the month. That's stressful. So what we want to do is how do we use time management to balance out what we say we want against the time that we have to do it. And this is definitely something that you want to do from a standpoint of your own business. What is the revenue that you want to bring in? Or what are the products or services that you want to get out into the community? Or how many people, if I need to have $10,000 coming in, how many people do I need to talk to where I can finally find the number of people who will say yes, sign on the dotted line, and I can get what I have said my company needs? So what you need are clearly defined written goals. What is it that you want to do? Okay. Detailed lists of tasks. So the goals are what? The tasks are the how. How am I going to get this done? I have to do task 1, task 2, task 3. I don't know what the tasks are in priority yet. I just need to write down the things that I need to do. And then I need to go back and say, which one comes first? Which one comes second? Which ones work in conjunction with one another? I want to have a list of important ongoing business functions. I need to know what's happening in the business so that I know that I am moving forward with my tasks, which will allow me to reach my goals. But stuff happens. And anytime we sit down and look at goals that we're working on, we look at the tasks that we have to do in order to reach those goals because we know what the result is that we want. We have to build in enough flexibility for the stuff that happens. So when you're looking at your goals, you want to make sure that they are very clear. You need to know what your goals are because you can't share your goals with other people if you can't explain what they are. People will listen to you, but they get very upset when you confuse them. If you're not clear, you're not going to be clear with them. They're going to be confused, and that's a potential loss in sales. So we want clearly defined goals. You want to work on short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. You're going to decide what short-term is for you, what mid-term is for you, and what long-term is for you. But just as a rule of thumb, short-term is usually something that I'm checking on quarterly. Midterm is something that I'm looking at from 6 months to a year. And long term is something I'm looking at over various years. So for each task, and this is something that you need to begin with since you are the person that's doing all the work in your business, you need to look at this very closely, but you also need to continue this process because when you start having employees, this is a great way for you to delegate. What needs to be done? If you're delegating it, who does that go to so that it gets done? Who needs to do it? When is it due? Oh my goodness, this has to be done by the end of day today, or I've got 6 months before this is done. That time means a lot because it allows us then to balance out what the tasks are and how we are doing the tasks. What's being done and when is it going to be delivered? And how is it going to be delivered? Okay, so breaking down your goals into written tasks allow you to see and understand what you need to do. So then you have to go back and prioritize. So when I was telling you about this company called Franklin Covey, and it's an excellent program. Like I said, a lot of my colleagues absolutely loved it. And it takes all of this information that we're talking about, it puts it into an organized format, and it allows you to look at what's happening on the day, what's happening on the week, what are the particular tasks I'm doing, what is the priority that I've set up for those tasks. And that kind of regimentation works for a lot of people. I don't have to think about it anymore. It's written down. And once it's written down, I can follow that process. So you want to assign a priority level to every task that you do. All tasks to reach my goal are important, but not all tasks are number one. Some tasks come before other tasks. So I'm going to set priority for which tasks I have to do first, which tasks I have to do second, etc. I want to rearrange my tasks so that they are in order by priority so that I know when I finish task number one, that one's done. And that's what I call the power of the check mark. I check that off. That one is completed. Now I go to task number two. So I want to allocate enough time so that I can get all of my tasks done and that I'm not in a particular stress place or a critical place where I'm looking at something and going, oh my gosh, this has to be done today. and I haven't even started. I have put my tasks in order. I know what should come first and what comes second. I know the time that I can allot to that. And it allows me then to work on the process of getting things done in a timely manner so that I am not in a stressful situation. So what you want to put on your task list is stuff you do. In your business, you have to pay your bills. In your business, you have to ask people to pay you. That's invoice your clients. You want to go through information. Now, if you're like many people that I know, you get way more emails, way more texts than you actually want to look at. But it is your job as the business owner to look at those things. Don't ignore them. Look at them in a timely manner. Do not let them grow. You know, if you have 3 emails, by the time you come back, you've got 20 emails. So take time to go through everything and make sure that you are up to date on all the things that you need to do in order for your business to run smoothly. So I had a colleague at one time, and you could email her anytime you wanted. The immediate response you got back was, "Thank you for your email. I don't read emails until after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. When I read your email, I will return your message." And I thought that was kind of interesting because what happened was that a lot of the frivolous stuff that came through that we all get sort of started disappearing just because she had that as an automatic response. Maybe that's something that you feel that would be helpful to you, is that I read all my emails the next morning. Okay, then just block that time off and just let people know that you're not reading emails until that time. Or I read my emails in the evening, or whatever it is that you do, or your texts, or your appointments. Do you have an appointment calendar that so that you can set the time up so that it is comfortable for the person that needs to meet with you and in your time frame? Okay. One thing that businesses do, and I know it's very strange, but sometimes businesses forget to invoice clients and they forget to send the money to the bank. Take those 2 things off your list. You are not going to forget to invoice clients, and you are not going to forget to get money into the bank. So those are big things. So, and you have a lot of little things that you do during the day. If you need to write those down so that they get done, write them down. There's nothing wrong with having a list of things that need to be done, because maybe if you don't write it down, you may miss that. And if you miss that, that could be something that could be detrimental to you later on in your business. So that built-in flexibility, I'm having trouble speaking today, sorry. That built-in flexibility is so important because you have to have time. You've got to have time for the stuff, the STUFF, the stuff of business, and stuff happens all the time. So when you're assigning an estimated amount of time to complete each task, be sure to allow for tasks to address opportunities and issues as they arise. Best laid plans are fantastic and almost never run as we plan because stuff happens. Allow for extra time for critical tasks if necessary. Allow for time for interruptions. They do happen during the day, and it doesn't mean that an interruption in your day is a bad thing. It means that it is part of the stuff. that happens. And then allow for time for breaks. You need some time. You need some time to rejuvenate, to get your brain back in space, to get your thinking done. You need time for you. So when we look at, and I think you probably are very used to seeing this before, this is used a lot, called SMART goals. The goals are specific. They're very, very timely. They are specific to exactly what it is you want. And that's the clarity part that we talked about, that you need to be clear about what it is that you want. The goal needs to be measurable. So how do you know that you have reached your goal if you don't have some kind of a measurement to it? How do I know I've reached my financial goal if I don't know the amount of money I said I wanted to have? How do I know that I've reached my people goal if I don't know how many people I want to have, how many salespeople I want to have, how many customers I'm talking to? So it needs to be measurable. It also needs to be attainable. This needs to, I, as a small business person, have a goal of $1 million a year. Okay, that's specific, but is it measurable? Is it attainable? Can I do that? What is the time frame I'm giving myself for $1 million? Do I have the product or service that I could support the people who pay me that money? Am I able to give them the product or service that they need? So when I'm being measurable, I need to have a time frame attached to it. And when it is attainable, it needs to be something I can do. So as a small business owner, some of my goals are going to be very, very short because it takes the little goals one by one to get taken care of so that I can get to the big goals. Is my goal relevant? Is it something that's applicable to my business? Is it making sense to me as a business owner? And does it have a time attached to it? I said I want $1 million. When do I want it? Is that a goal for my business in 10 years? Is that a goal for my business in 3 months? So I need to have some kind of time wrapped around it so that when I say this is what I want to do, I'm very clear about what I want to do. I know exactly how my goal is going to be measured. I know how I'm going to get it. I know that it's relevant for my business. This goal is going to do something for me as my business grows. And I've got time that tells me I have X amount of hours, days, weeks, months, years to get this done. So I want you to go to your participant guide and go to page 11. I'd love for you to write down one of your goals in using this SMART format. Remember that whenever we are talking about our business, there are 3 things that we need to remember. We need to be clear, we need to be brief, and we need to be understandable. So whether we are talking to someone else or whether we're talking to ourselves, we still need to follow that brief and clear and understandable format. So as you are writing your goals, think the same way. When I write down my goal needs to be brief, it needs to be clear, it needs to be understandable. When I start looking at my tasks will tell me how I'm going to reach my goal. So using SMART goals, you want to, this is something that anytime you write anything, you want to think of these steps. Who's going to do it? What is going to be done? When is expected to be completed? Where is this going to happen? And why are you doing this? When you look at your tasks, you're going to add one more, and that's the how. How am I going to be able to achieve this particular goal? So you look at the SMART goals, and then you look at the steps that it takes or the tasks that you're going to have to use in order to make that goal possible. So the Pareto analysis says simply that 20% of your tasks or 20% of your efforts will produce 80% of your result. So if I put in 20% of what I do is going to give me the most amount of bang for my buck. Tasks that generate the greatest return should be completed first. Isn't that a big incentive to keep moving? Look at what I got done. Look at the result that I got. Let me keep at it. Prioritizing tasks is critically important because small business owners usually have a lot of stuff to do. Oh, by the way, stuff is a business term. You probably figured that part out, right? But you have a lot of things to do. And because you have a lot of things to do, prioritizing your tasks is extremely important, and seeing the result of what you have done with those tasks is not only important to the business, but it's important to you. You need to know that you are making the right moves, doing the right things, and getting the right results. So there's also a method called the ABC method. And the ABC method is that your most important tasks are A, your next important tasks are B, and your least important tasks are C. Now, understand that you don't dismiss your least important tasks. They still need to be done, but they're just not priority one. There is a method, and you've probably seen this method before. It's called the Eisenhower method. And the Eisenhower method is made up, I call it a quad, of the four squares, okay? And so there is a class on communication skills in our virtual classroom where I actually go through using this method and how not only for time, but also for learning and other things that we do. So there is a way of looking at the U stands for unimportant and the I stands for urgent. Okay? So what you're looking for is, I'm sorry, the U stands for urgent, the I'm so backwards, I apologize. The U stands for urgent, the I stands for important. Some things are urgent and important, and I call that the crisis mode. Okay, that's the mode that says, oh my gosh, I have got to get this done. I've got to get it done now. I don't have a choice. This is the one square that I want you to stay out of. You don't need to be in crisis mode. You don't want things to be urgent and important at the same time, because that means it's a must-do right now situation. So let's look at what's not urgent but is important. This is the module where we get our best work done. We have things that are important that need to be done in our business, but they're not urgent. They're constant. I need to pay the bills and I have a due date for those bills. Let me take care of that. Let me set up the payments. I've got time for the bill to be paid. That is important that I get the bills paid. It's not urgent because it doesn't say, oh, this bill should have been paid yesterday. So you put most of your effort into the important stuff that needs to be done in your business, but it has not become urgent yet. There's also another point of your business that, and come down to the next square, it says it's not urgent and it's not important. I call this my lazy part. That's when I can catch up on the magazines I need to do, the reading that I need to do. Maybe I can make some calls on my own. These are not urgent and they're not important. They are just things that I need to get done eventually. There's no crisis there. There's no push there. There's no stress there. And then the last quadrant is when something is urgent, but it's not important. Now, sometimes we let people do this to us, that their issues become urgent to us. And what we want to do is to make sure that if it is urgent to them, that they take care of it. Because it's not important to us, but it is important to them. So again, you told you about some of the things that you'll do on your own, some of the things that you will use the same methods as you delegate. So as I am delegating things out, things that are urgent need to get done. I'm going to give them to somebody who can do that so that I can spend some time working on the things that I need to work on. So if it is urgent, but it's not important, you want to delegate those tasks to someone or assign those tasks because they're not at your top priority. So this one is one, I don't know whether you've heard of this or not, okay? So this is the PROSEC method. And the PROSEC method is you prioritize, you organize, you streamline, you economize, and then you contribute. Those are the 5 things that you're going to be doing as you are setting up your management of your time. So if you prioritize, you want to arrange your tasks in the order of importance. And we've talked about this before through some other methods, okay? Based on your goals and your amount of time that you have to reach those goals. So I want to know what I do first, what I do second, et cetera, et cetera. Well, when I'm organizing, I want to provide a structure for most of my basic tasks, especially those that are performed on a daily basis. So let's just say one of the tasks that I do every day is I review my bank statement. I go into my bank account, I take a look at anything that's pending in my bank account. I make sure that, oh yeah, that makes sense. I remember going to ABC Company and buying that. I do that on a daily basis. So I've set that up. I know that that's going to be part of the structure of my day. I do it all the time. Streamlining means that I want to make sure that I'm concentrating on those things that are moving the business forward. So it's kind of looking at what you call nuisance tasks, maybe, such as those tasks that are required for operations, but are not your most preferred tasks. It doesn't mean that they don't need to get done. Remember, as we're prioritizing, it doesn't mean it doesn't need to get done. It does mean that it may not be the first thing we do because it's not a priority one, but it is still part of our task. Economizing is achieving those tasks that you would like to do, but they fall low on your priority list. If you are like most of us, when things get stressful at work, you want to fall back into that thing where your comfort is, where you feel good at doing that. I've worked with businesses. I remember working with an engineering firm, and when it got stressful in the office, and there were some things that the engineers didn't want to do, they would go down on the floor and they would start doing drawings because that was their comfort. They were very comfortable doing drawings. They knew how to be engineers. They were having trouble with dealing with how to run an engineering firm. We may have some of that same issue also, as things seem to become overwhelming to us. There seem to be so many things that are thrown at us. I know I need to get this done, but right now I think I'll just take a moment and go do something that makes me feel good, makes me feel I'm contributing, although I'm not contributing to that particular issue that I'm looking at. So you've got to watch that carefully. You've got to watch the fact that you don't want to fall back into what makes you feel comfortable versus what moves your business forward. And contributing occurs when tasks are completed and you're able to give back. So, what are you doing in the community that allows you to say, oh my gosh, I've got some extra time, I've got some extra energy, I can give this back, not only into the community, but what are you doing in your business that you can say that to? Okay, so you want to look at prioritizing things, figuring out what comes first, what comes second, setting up an organizational scheme, setting up how you organize your time so that it makes sense for you. Streamlining is making sure that you've got some flexibility in your time management that you set up. Economizing is making sure that the first things come first, not the last things come first. And then contributing is, what are you giving back? Okay, what are you doing that now that you've got a little extra wiggle room in there, what are you doing to make the company better? What are you doing to make the community better, etc.? So managing your time, this is something that you want to think about doing for yourself. And that's where your participant guide really does help you out. And so you can look at the tasks that you pretty much know on a day-to-day basis, the kinds of things that you have to do. And you pretty much know on a day-to-day basis the kind of interruptions you're going to have, the kinds of things that, because you have experience doing your business, you have a feel for stuff. I love that word. It's the business word. I love that word. Stuff pops up. Okay, so you want to prioritize your list of tasks. You want to allocate the amount of time that it takes. Really look at this time. Really look at, is this going to take me half a day or is this going to take me a day and a half? Don't forget that those important ongoing business functions. There's stuff that continues, that whether you're working on a project or not, there is stuff that continues to happen in a business period. You can't forget about those because then you end up in that crisis situation where stuff is both urgent and important. We just want to make sure that we handle the important stuff, we prioritize it correctly, we give it the time that it needs, and we get it done and can move on to the next thing. And you want to select a tool for planning your daily and weekly time. So you can use the form that I gave out to some of my students called a TOP form. TOP stands for thinking on paper. And you just use that to jot down what you need. And then you go back and say, what do I do first? What do I do second? What do I do third, etc. But you need to make sure that you're comfortable with what's put in front of you because you're the one who has to get it done. You have to get it done whether you are a manager of just you or you are a manager of you and other employees. So tips for prioritizing your tasks is know the number of hours in your workday. Are you someone who says, I work 6 hours a day because I've got to go pick up the kids from school, I've got to go do this, got to do that, whatever it is? Are you someone who works 10 hours a day because you said, I get my energy up, I get going, I really want to get this done? And then you want to allocate only 75% of the available work hours because stuff happens. So when you're working your plan, you want to prioritize your task. And we talk about this a lot because priorities are important. We need to know what we need to do first. We don't need to do task 3 before we do task 1 because that may force us to have to do task 3 again. So I have a friend who is a professional organizer, and I am probably one of her most disorganized friends. So what she told me to do was to get an egg timer and put it beside my computer. And the egg timer is set for 50 minutes. And at the end of 50 minutes, I am to stop because I'm one of those people that I sit down at the computer, I start to work, and it's now 4 hours later. So when that egg timer goes off at 50 minutes, it is my job to get up and move, walk, stretch, bend, whatever it is that I need to do. I need to get up and move my body in some kind of way, because sitting for a very long time working on something, and yes, the work I do is important, but so is the work that you do. So as I'm spending time on that, what I want to make sure of is that I get up and move my body, stretch my body, let my eyes see something more than the screen that's in front of me, because I don't want my eyes to get tired. I don't want my body to get tired, because when they do, I can't do my best work. I want to work on my high priority information first. That's why I prioritize. That's why I set things up so that I know what I'm going to do first, what I'm going to do second, what I'm going to do third. I need to take time to manage the business. Those are those daily tasks that I'm looking at, that they pop up all the time. They're part of what happens in a business. And I need to manage those as well as I need to manage things that may be projects that I'm working on. Take time to take breaks. So when she set this timer up for me and said I should work 50 minutes and then get up and move my body, also every couple of hours I need to take some time to go get some water, walk around. Maybe I have colleagues who work at home, and they will take a break and go outside and walk around their neighborhood. So maybe they take a 10-minute walk and come back. Okay? So you need to take those breaks, because those breaks help to revitalize you so that you can get back into getting done what you say is important. and set aside time to prioritize for your next week. So I've got the tasks in front of me that I need to get done today, but I also need to be thinking about what's coming up, what's happening in the future. I need to be looking at things that I need to get done in a timely manner, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on a weekly basis, and sometimes on a monthly basis. So who else can do one or some of the tasks that you have planned for that week? If you are a business of one, you say, well, I don't have anybody else. Well, that could possibly be true, or it could be, this is something that's going to take me a lot of time. I'm not really good at this task. Maybe I need to hire someone to do this project for me so that I can concentrate on other things. So you're always looking at what is it that you need to do? What is it that others need to do? Okay. Are you the only person who can do this? If that's the case, then you need to definitely set out that time so that other people know that you are busy working on something, and you won't get those little interruptions and you won't get those breaks in concentration that you need. But even though you're the only person who can do this, please take time for yourself. If you need an egg timer like my friend gave me, use an egg timer. If you need to use your watch or you need to use your phone, whatever it is, take time to breathe. Take time to just let yourself say, okay, I'm taking a break here, and then get some rejuvenation back into your body, and then go back to your task. So one of the things that you're always going to be looking at is if you have others that you can pass these tasks on to, who are they and how well can they get them done for you? And if you are a business owner and you're the only one there, can you actually do this, or do you need to hire someone to handle that project for you? So when you're looking at what do you need to do on a daily, and you need to think about this. This is not really fast and simple. This is something that takes some concentration, because you're talking about in your time management, you're talking about how to make your business stronger. So from a daily basis, I love this. I call this the power of the check mark that I use on my top paper, which I told you was the thinking on paper sheet. And so when I finish a task, I check it off. And that check mark just gives me such a feeling of energy, because that's one thing down that I don't have to worry about. And I have a lot of those tasks during the day, just like you do. Then what about on a weekly basis? What are the kinds of things that you do on a weekly basis? Maybe one of the things you do is that you do all your invoices go out on a particular day of the week, or maybe you pay your bills on a particular day of the week. Then what are those weekly tasks that you have to do? Once they're done, again, the power of the check mark. Hey, those things are completed. Now I'm moving forward with the next thing. What are the things that you do on a monthly basis? So one of the things that you may do on a monthly basis is do a bank reconciliation. And what is that? That's when you look at the bank statement that has come in, or the credit card statement that has come in, and you match that against what you say you used. So I'm looking at what the bank says I spent every transaction, and I'm looking at what I say I spent. I'm comparing that to my receipts. And yes, you do need to keep your receipts. So I'm looking at, I went to ABC store and I bought something for $4.75. Here's my receipt. I look at my bank statement. It says ABC store. I used my debit card and I paid for that $4.75, or I used my credit card and I paid for that $4.75. I'm matching what the bank says against what I say. And at the end of all of that, and I look through the bank statements, and at the end of all of that, the bank and I need to agree. But I need to take time to do that. Okay, so that's one of my tasks that I'm going to do every month. I'm going to go through and reconcile my accounts. Daily, I'm going to be looking at my bank account to make sure there's not anything on it that is unfamiliar to me. That when I look at something, I know exactly what this means and what I need to do with it. And then on a yearly basis, there are going to be things that I have to do. So this is being recorded in February, which means that we are officially in tax season. We know that that's definitely something that we have to deal with every year. But what if, when we're setting up our time management, that we deal with this on a monthly basis so that when it becomes tax season, I don't have a lot of stuff that I have to do. I've got things in place, have been taken care of. I'm organized, and now my yearly trek into the IRS world is much less stressful and much easier to do. So there are things that you're going to do daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly, and they are things that are very important to you from a time management standpoint. So we talked a little bit, well, I talked a lot about stuff. Stuff happens, okay? So some of the stuff that happens are things that you can't control. Some of the stuff that happens, excuse me, are things that you can control, and you have to help other people help you control them. So common distractions, obstacles, and solutions. So if we're talking about people, one of the best ways to help people help you be in control of your time is to set up a schedule for yourself. Get an online calendar. Let people know when you are available to actually talk to them. I had a company that I worked with, and so in the company, we built a weekly time schedule for the owner. There were certain things in the company that only the owner could do, but they were so haphazard that it took away really important time for the owner to be in the company. So what we did was we told the people, all the employees in the company, that from 9 until 11, you can talk to the owner. The owner is open to meeting with people, being on the telephone with people coming into his office. He knows that that's flexible time in his office. And the kind of work he did, he needed to be in conjunction and conversation with the people who were doing the work. Okay. So we took from 9 until 11, and that's what he did during that time period. Now, he came in at 7 in the morning. People were available. They're available to start dealing with him on whatever they need, starting at 9. What is he doing between 7 and 9? That's where he's working on some of the things that he needs to work on, setting up his priorities for the day, because he was a morning type person. So he set up his priorities for the day when he got in. Some people set up the priorities for the day, the evening before they leave, so that they're set in place when they walk in. You decide what works for you. How do you deal with emails? As I told, I read and respond to emails after 3 in the evening. And so people knew that if they sent her something at 9 o'clock in the morning, they were not going to get a response from her until after 3 in the afternoon. Look at how your work environment is set up. Is it conducive to you doing what you need to do in an efficient manner? Do you have things at your fingertips that allow you to continue the process of doing your work, or do you have to get up and go get something? And then you come back to your desk, and then you have to get up and go get something else, and you have to come back to your desk, okay? And then, are you the person who's causing the distractions? And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. But if you're initiating the distractions, think about that. Think about what kind of distractions you're causing, and can they be minimized? Well, that was a question. That was really a rhetorical question. Of course, they can be minimized, but you need to know what they are first. So 4 key points to remember. We got 5 key elements of a good management plan. We talked about the SMART goals and all of that, okay? Use the written SMART goals with steps and tasks to complete and to create clarity. That word is extremely important. If you're not clear on what you're doing, you're working in a room without light. You're working in the dark, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you understand what you're doing and that it's very clear to you. And if you do need to pass this on to somebody else, to delegate this to someone else, you can do that easily because it's clear. You can explain it clearly. We talked about the 4 ways to prioritize goals for writing your time management plan, and you can choose what kind of time management plan you want to use, or you can come up with one of your own. And you want to update your time management plans daily and weekly, monthly if necessary, definitely yearly, because stuff changes. So I need to go in and the things that I thought would be for on a yearly basis, maybe I added something to that, maybe I took something away from that. That was a lot of stuff. And that was a lot of stuff on managing your time. So one of the things I want you to remember is 24 hours is all we get. Everybody gets the same 24 hours. Some people are really good at using the 24 hours and can get everything done that they want. And some people are really bad at it and they don't seem to get anything done that they want. I've been in both places, okay? So you want to make sure that the things that are important to you and important to your business, that you are keeping track of those things, and that you're making a difference in what is a priority to you, not just a task, not just a goal, but what is a priority to you. And is that getting done first? And what is the second one? And what is the third one? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay? So you've learned the concept of time management and why it's important to small businesses, why it's important to all people, not just small businesses. Some of the commonly employed management practices include the Pareto analysis, the ABC method, the Eisenhower method, and the Prosek method. And all of those are in your participant guidebook. Please take time to look at that, because it really is important as you go through this to say, well, I'm not sure which one I should use, or I'm not sure how to set this up so it makes sense to me. Go back to your participant guide. If you have any questions, you know you can always call me. Great. Well, thank you. And please do the
Thank
evaluation
you so much.
form and
Thank
send
you.
that to me. So what you want to look at is, these are some resources, and these are resources that after every class in the Money Smart series, I go over this. It's important for you to know that the state of Nevada Department of Business and Industry has what we call a roadmap, and the roadmap is very simple. You are in business. You are somewhere on this roadmap, and you may have a question. Maybe you have a question about where do you go to network. Then you click on the networking button, and it gives you information about where you can go to network. Or maybe you say, oh, I keep running into having problems. Is this normal? What's the answer to some of these problems? Click on common mistakes, click on tax stuff, click on whatever you need to do to answer the questions that you have. You can use the QR code, or you can go to business.nv.gov. We also have a virtual classroom, and I told you that I have a class in there on communication, which we talk about the quad that we looked at when we're looking at what's urgent and what's important. So I do a class on that. That may be something that might be of interest to you. You want to get to the virtual classroom, again, there's our QR code, and there's also our link. This is to just get into UNR extension for our business development. It has upcoming classes. It tells you about the virtual classroom. It talks about the team of people that we're small. We're a small but mighty group. Talks about business resource partners. It talks about the podcasts that we have. And you can tell I need to update this because it's still talking about COVID, although we're still having COVID. So just be aware that you can go here and find what you're looking for. You are always welcome. Our Biz Life podcast is where we invite in people like you, small business owners, to talk about how your business is growing, what you've learned as a business owner that you can share with others. We have people who have specific elements of business who come in and talk. Some advisors will come in, some of our resources come in, some of our government politicians come in, but everybody's focus is the same. What are we doing to enhance the small business community? So the podcast is done both in English and in Spanish. And if you are not aware of the Small Business Development Center, it is nationwide. And Nevada Small Business Development Center, you can go directly to their website, nevadasbdc.org. You can request advising if you would like to become a client of theirs. It is at no cost to you. You just go here to request advising, and you go to new client sign up. If you are already a client of the Small Business Development Center and you may have lost contact with your advisor, then go to contact us and let them know that you would like to know who the advisor is that you have been paired with. It's a great place to have that one-on-one conversation. Those questions we give you a lot of resources, and the resources are good, but you know what? Sometimes you just need to sit down, look somebody in the eye, and have a real conversation. And that's where you can go to the Small Business Development Center. You can also go to SCORE. And so SCORE used to be the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, but they're putting a lot of emphasis on people who know things that you may have questions about. For instance, if you've got questions about, I don't know, marketing maybe, then they have people there who spend time being marketing managers, marketing directors, running marketing companies, they can sit down and have that conversation with you. So here in Las Vegas, it's mostly virtual, but you can do this online, you can do this on the phone. They have a lot of training classes, as does the SBDC has training classes, and of course you know that we have them here too. So thank you very much. I know this was a lot of information. I hope it was very helpful information. Please feel free to contact me if you would like to do so. You're more than welcome. This program is done in conjunction with the Urban Chamber, and you can get your participant guide through the Urban Chamber, and you can always get the classes through us. So thank you very much. Have a great day.